Happy Thanksgiving month, everybody, and Tony here with my review of Verdi's Simon Boccanegra with conductor Paolo Arrivabenni and not Roberto Rizzi-Brignoli, which I saw at the Deutsche Oper Berlin. This marks the fourth time I caught Vasily Barkatov's production of Verdi's Simon Boccanegra at the Deutsche Oper Berlin because I wanted to see, hear, and witness Etienne Dupuis perform the title role of Simon Boccanegra, of course. Over the years, I have seen Monsieur Etienne Dupuis grow from being a lyrical voiced cavalier baritone to now tackling a lot more dramatic baritone slash Verdi baritone roles. I first saw him, let alone heard him, 12 years ago as Giorgio Germont from Verdi's La Traviata, and then I saw him several months ago as Rigoletto, also at the Deutsche Oper Berlin. I've been really astounded to see how his career had been growing because I've always thought of him more as a natural cavalier baritone along the lines of Robert Massart or Piero Capuccilli or Gérard Souzet, those gentlemen who were more renowned for singing a lot of the nobleman roles, and that's what Etienne Dupuis was for me. He still managed to sing Simon Boccanegra with sufficient virility, with sufficient handsomeness, and a dashing charm that made him all the more infectious to witness. His voice was absolutely fine throughout all the registers. It was still a noble tone that made him really striking to listen to, and his overall stage presence made him thoroughly infectious to witness. Yes, he may not be the beefiest sounding voice in terms of what Lawrence Tibbett, Leonard Warren, Gino Becchi, Cornell McNeil, Gian-Giacomo Guelfi, Silvano Caroli, and Renato Brusson were concerned, let alone a lot of the older baritones such as Carlo Galeffi or Carlo Tagliabue, or even Ruffo or Tito Gobbi or Anselmo Colzani, because those were real baritone voices with a lot of body, strength, core, and depth, as well as richness. But Etienne Dupuis' nobility and his overall manly elegance as a singing actor made him shine so well, and I do have to salute him for his incredible efforts at making Simon Boccanegra a role to call his own. Liang Li struck again as Jacopo Fiesco, and while his voice does show some signs of being wobbly or throaty or being kind of unfocused from time to time, it is still a resonant, handsome, strong, and penetrating instrument that managed to steal my heart and steal my whole being with his great musicianship, great attention to detail, and his overall virile, manly, handsome charisma. Whilst I can never forget the likes of Ezio Pinza, Alexander Kipnis, Tancredi Passero, Jerome Hines, Giulio Neri, Nikolai Gyaurov, Cesare Siepi, Giorgio Tozzi, Kim Borg, Keith Engen, Evgeny Nesterenko, Walter Kreppel, John McCurdy, Bonaldo Giotti, and even Jose Mardones, I could still applaud Liang Li for his amazing dedication to his craft, his overall handsome countenance, as well as how he was able to make his basso profondo slash basso cantante voice radiate, especially with his aria A te l'estremo addio, which then leads into Il lacerato spirito, which he sang with so much conviction and so much pathos that I was thoroughly hooked. That was just how strong of a singing actor Liang Li truly was. Then we have Volodymyr Morozov singing a resonant Pietro, and his basso cantante voice continues to grow with strength, focus, and depth. This is a young basso cantante whose career is currently shining like the brightest of stars, and I do hope to see him in a lot more leading man roles because Mr. Morozov has a lot of wonderful material to work with, and he just has this virility that makes him thoroughly strong. Striking once again as Gabriele Adorno was Attilio Glauser. I've noticed that his voice grew in a lot more steeliness and metal, given that nowadays he's singing the likes of Lohengrin and Parsifal and a lot more spinto tenor roles, unless they forget about Don José and Hoffmann. His beginnings as a lyric tenor are still intact because he still has that sheen in his voice. But with that metal that he combines, it's a lot more present, a lot more ocean-like, and it had that ring and squillo that made him sound all the more heroic. Granted, I would also prefer more mature voices, let alone more penetrating voices found in Richard Tucker or Giovanni Martinelli, Giovanni Zenatello, or even Franco Corelli if I wanted someone with more excitement. But Attilio Glauser was absolutely brilliant, absolutely strong, and absolutely formidable. What more can you expect from someone like Herr Glauser, who really gave the vocal goods? He managed to do so with elan and a lot of excitement, which is something that I continue to salute him for. Michael Bachtatze also struck again as a sinister, sneering Paolo Albiani, all thanks to his dramatic baritone voice. Yes, his voice is an acquired taste for those who listen to him or for those who've been listening to him. Nevertheless, he adds in a lot of that bite in his voice, and while some people might not be huge fans of it, he is still thoroughly involved as a singing actor. He is still charismatic in a way that made him tall, handsome, and dashing on stage. And he managed to really add in that sense of cynicism to Paolo Albiani. Granted, I can never ever forget the likes of Ezio Flagello, who is my number one favorite Paolo Albiani of all time, all thanks to his combination of roundness, richness, and depth, but also vocal excitement. And José Vendon, who sang a superb Paolo Albiani alongside Claudio Abbado as the conductor, all thanks to combining that sneering villainy with that smooth as silk nobility. Michael Bachtatze managed to do pretty well as Paolo Albiani, all thanks to what he was able to do as a singing actor. He may not have a voice that could be everybody's cup of tea, but it's still a pretty special voice that is rich in character as well as rich in a Slavic quality that has made him ideal for really ambiguous characters, which he used to his fullest advantage. Michael Dembowski was handsome and dashing as the captain of the archers, thus using his silvery, light lyric tenor voice to his advantage and making it sufficiently shine. Speaking of shine, Nicole Carr as Maria Boccanegra, aka Amelia Grimaldi, was a shining star in terms of what she was able to do with her natural full lyric soprano voice. I've also seen her grow from her beginnings as Tatiana from Eugene Onegin and Mimi from La Boheme to nowadays taking on roles such as Elisabetta de Valois from Don Carlo and nowadays Amelia Grimaldi or Maria Boccanegra from Simon Boccanegra. She definitely has that creaminess that I've always appreciated about her. She has those nice crystalline high notes that she managed to let out with full abandon. And her chest tones actually grew in richness, coordination, and strength. Granted, in the first half, she was a bit fluttery on some occasions, and her legato singing was quite choppy. I would really have loved Come in quest'ora bruna to be sung with a lot more legato, like a string of pearls and not just a pile of pears. It's supposed to be flowing. It's supposed to be like threads and threads of beautiful melodies and not just sound like it's being chopped. If I want someone who sang Come in quest'ora bruna so masterfully, I could never go wrong with the likes of Victoria dos Angeles or Mirella Freni. Those ladies managed to sing Come in quest'ora bruna with excellent technique and excellent legato. So I do encourage Nicole Carr to work on her legato singing a lot more if she is to remain a complete singer. But even with that technical problem that I've had with Nicole Carr and her kind of choppy way of singing Come in quest'ora bruna, she did get better throughout the opera, and she definitely managed to grow in a lot more charisma and grow in a lot more vocal involvement, thus making her shine really well. And Lucy Baker was a creamy toned maidservant who used her lyric mezzo voice to make her character shine so well. So overall, the singing was quite fine all around. There were some really good singers found in Attilio Glasser as Gabriele Adorno, considering that his growth as a singer is evident in that more metallic sound that he's had, and it grew in steel, it grew in presence, it grew in excitement. That is just how much Attilio Glaza continues to win me over as a singer. And while Michael Baghdadze continues to be an acquired taste as Paolo Albiani, he's still an involving singing actor with a whole lot of charisma. Etienne Dupuis is more on the noble, lyrical, and cavalier baritone side of Simon Boccanegra, although I do prefer a beefier sounding Verdi baritone voice to tackle this role. Liang Li, despite his throatiness on certain occasions, was still a resonant fiasco. Nicole Carr showed crystalline youthfulness as Amelia Grimaldi or Maria Boccanegra, and there were also some fabulous contributions made by Volodymyr Morozov's resonant Pietro, as well as Michael Dembowski singing a fine captain, and Lucy Baker singing an equally fine maidservant. Therefore, the singing was thoroughly fine all around, but I still have to give it to Etienne Dupuis for being so brave to tackle Simon Boccanegra, and Attilio Glaser for continuing to grow as a singing actor. The conducting done by Paolo Arrivabene was exciting, pretty brassy, and bold. He really knew how to bring up the big moments of the orchestra, let alone the piece. Although I do wish for a lot more nuance and clarity and beauty found in conductors such as Arturo Toscanini or Victor de Sabata or Carlo Maria Giulini. But despite all that, Paolo Arrivabene was thoroughly exciting as a conductor, thus leading the chorus and orchestra into great shape. And the chorus and orchestra of the Deutsche Oper Berlin were absolutely fabulous as they've always been. So with Etienne Dupuis doing a fine and fabulous job as Simon Boccanegra, I can't really complain about his vocal performance. And while one would want a lot more vocal beefiness, manliness, and super strength like the ones found in Gian Giacomo Guelfi, or that more powerful quality, let alone complete package found in Lawrence Tibbett, I still have to give Etienne Dupuis loads of credit for what he was able to accomplish as Simon Boccanegra. He was charismatic, he was thoroughly involved, and he knew how to make the best out of his natural cavalier baritone voice to make this role work for him. And for those of you who caught Verdi's Simon Boccanegra at the Deutsche Oper Berlin, what do you think of it? Do you feel that Etienne Dupuis was in fine form as Simon Boccanegra? Was there another singer who stole his thunder, whether it was Liang Li, Nicole Carr, Attilio Glaser, Michael Baghdadze, Volodymyr Morozov, Michael Domovsky, or Lucy Baker? Or do you feel like the singing was not to your liking, let alone feel that Etienne Dupuis should never have touched Simon Boccanegra? Please let me know in the comments below. Well, that's it for my review of Verdi's Simon Boccanegra at the Deutsche Oper Berlin. Tune in next time for my review of, hopefully, Bizet's Carmen, also at the Deutsche Oper Berlin, starring Vittorio Grigollo as Don José. So until then, happy Thanksgiving month, everybody!